Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wild West Banter podcast. On today's episode, you do see here we have a unfamiliar face. This is our buddy Tyler. He is our very big Houston Texans fan. He is a beat writer for the Houston Texans. We're going to get into some of that stuff. We're also going to go over our first team offense for the AFC West as well as our first team defense across the AFC West. And then we might get into some of the top 10 players here in the division. So as always, my name is Nick Carr, your host. I'm joined as always by Matthew Griffin. I am going to toss this one over to Matt first before we get over to Tyler. So Matthew, how you doing?
Doing good, man. This is a much-needed episode, trying to get over the Avs loss from last night. I know it's a football podcast, but we always touch on the Avs right this time of year, and honestly, it's fucking depressing. So this is a good time to get on the football podcast. Tyler's a good buddy of mine from work. Old flag football quarterback that broke my collarbone. But yeah, big Texans fan. Tyler and I actually flew to Houston for a playoff game, a depressing playoff game 2 years ago. So yeah, Tyler's a big football fan. It's nice to have him out. We've been talking about this for a while, and yeah, it's good to have you, Tyler.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Tyler. Yeah, big time Texans fan. Probably about the only Texans fan that you'll find out here in Colorado. But here we go.
Yeah.
He said he was going to be like the voice of reason for the Raiders for us in this podcast. So
you can't really talk too much about the Raiders.
So we'll see what he has to say about the Raiders for us.
You know, as I'm sitting here staring at the screen and looking at Tyler here, very handsome guy. But have you guys ever seen the show Blue Mountain State?
I get this comparison.
Do you?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so the quarterback
like Blue Mountain State?
in Blue Mountain State. He's a total douchebag. Tyler is not. But I feel like the guy that plays this character, I don't know his name, but he's kind of the typical frat guy that everyone wants to be. But good-looking dude.
This one?
But yeah, Tyler, yeah, they look fairly similar. So, you probably can't see it there on the screen. So just wanted to get that out of the way while it was on my mind. But yeah, let's get into some Houston Texans talk. So give us kind of a little bit of a rundown here about how you're feeling this offseason went for you guys. Talking about the draft, free agency, all that good stuff. Are you excited about this year, or kind of what's your overview right now?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely pumped up about this year. I think it's a team that's returning most of its starters, especially on the defensive side, and being the strongest unit, arguably the number one defense in the league, and we just built upon that, and honestly, it's gotten better. Free agency was good as well. You know, we completely overhauled the offensive line 2 years in a row, which, you know, can be a little controversial, seeing how consistency at the offensive line is always very important, but I think we definitely upgraded in the positions of need. Got to get the run game going because, as we saw, Stroud getting paid off by Robert Kraft's masseuses and whatnot, and deciding he wants to turn over the ball 5 times in the playoffs each game. Wasn't great, but, you know, got to get the run game going. So we got David Montgomery in. Is he better than a Joe Mixon that was healthy? No. But is he better than an old Nick Chubb? Yes. Yeah. So that's where we're at on that. As far as the draft goes, we got a great guard in the first round that I think will play big dividends. And then in the second round, we got arguably the best defensive tackle in the draft.
Dude, that Cade McDonald pick was so good. You could have argued that he should have been a first round pick. And adding a guy like that to your interior pass rush on that defense is terrifying.
Yeah, it's not fair.
So I thought that, you know, you coming in here, we would maybe get into some arguments about whether the Houston Texans defense is better than the Denver Broncos defense. You know, I'm not going to really argue with that too much because I do think the Texans they do have the best defense in the NFL.
It's an incredible
But yeah, adding Cade McDonald there in the second round is unbelievable. So
sorry about passing the mic back and forth. We haven't had a third guest before, so mind you, Tyler and I are going to be sharing this mic. But with that, Tyler, you touched on it a little bit with bringing in Montgomery and that kind of stuff, and then some of your draft additions. Given this offseason, what was the biggest addition to your team, in your opinion, and the biggest subtraction? Did you guys lose anybody that was noteworthy? I know you guys retained a lot of your guys. Seems like you're running it back kind of with the same core. But any noticeable departures that are going to impact your team? And then kind of, besides maybe it is Montgomery, but who's the biggest additions to your team that you're going to see make a difference in year one?
Yeah, I think picking up the right tackle from the Indianapolis Colts.
Smith?
Smith. I think that's going to be huge. I know that we got rid of Titus Howard. Obviously, that was kind of a cap casualty type of thing. But Braden Smith, honestly, might be just as good, if not better, than bringing in the first round pick at guard. It's going to be huge. I think that we're just trying to focus more on building up the run game. So we drafted a tight end in the second round, I believe, late second round, maybe third round, I can't remember. Huge run blocking guy. So
You running it back with the same interior line, center guard. I know you have your new guard, but otherwise it seems like running it back. You brought in Smith for tackle.
and then spacing on his name, the guy from the Cleveland Browns.
Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, Wyatt Teller, yeah.
Yeah, huge. So the interior pressure, I mean, just watching Stroud the last 2 years, I mean, there's that clip on Instagram, TikTok, all the social medias when we played against the Tennessee Titans. As soon as he hiked the ball, there's 3 guys just right in Stroud's face. It was ridiculous. So improving that interior line is, honestly, probably the biggest need that we had.
So that kind of segues into my next question for you. So as a Houston Texans fan, 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago now, you guys were on top of the world thinking that you had your franchise quarterback. You know, there was the whole Deshaun Watson saga, and then you draft C.J. Stroud with the second overall pick. You get Will Anderson with the third overall pick, and you guys are heading into the future thinking that you have the core of something very special. But over the last couple of years here, C.J. Stroud hasn't really played how he did in that rookie season. You know, we all thought that he was going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. So kind of what are your thoughts on C.J. Stroud, and do you think he can kind of get back to what he was as a rookie?
I do believe that. And again, it starts with getting the offensive line, the protection. I believe that first year we still had Laramie Tunsil as left tackle, just about as consistent as you can get. He's gone. We saw that they tried to stray away from having that great offensive line in that second year. Not so much tried, but they ended up not having that great offensive line that second year and that third year even. So we saw the impact of the pressure in his face just all the time. I think, again, rebuilding this offensive line, getting some better pieces in there, and then building up that run game. We didn't have Joe Mixon all last year.
Yeah.
With that mysterious foot injury, I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened. No one will.
Yeah.
So getting David Montgomery in, someone that can just consistently pick up 3.5, 4 yards a carry.
Sure.
3.5 doesn't sound great, but I mean, it's better than what we had last year. I mean, that playoff game against New England, I think we went into the half averaging like a yard a carry.
Yeah.
So getting the run game going, I think, will help Stroud out a lot. We're also going to get my boy Tank Dell back. Now, I don't know if he'll ever be the same player, just going down the list of injuries that man's had, you know, breaking his leg against the dirty Broncos.
Yep.
And then the Kansas City Chiefs blowing his knee out. Like, just the AFC West out here just wrecking my boy. Yeah, he got shot in the offseason. That's not his fault, okay? But,
Well,
you know, you look at the numbers, right, with Tank Dell in the offense, and it's vastly different as far as what Stroud is able to do. But, yeah, Stroud, did he have a great rookie year? Yes, he did, statistically, right? But his numbers really haven't drastically dipped, in my opinion. I mean, his interception rate's gone up, yes. But I think now we have a great stacked receiving core. We got Nico Collins still. We got Jaden Higgins going in his second year. Jalen Knoll, he showed some flashes. So I think we got a great receiving core around him. We got the offensive line. We're going to get the run game. So I think he can bounce back. Second year with the offensive coordinator as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Hold on. I got two things off of that before we segue out. One, I want you to keep the same energy about the offensive line and lack of run game when we talk about Herbert. That's all I ask, because that'll be brought up. Okay,
yeah, this guy will bring that in anytime
you bring
he
up
can.
good points, and that is context. But I want that same energy brought to Justin Herbert when it comes time to talk about Justin Herbert. But no, yeah, a lot of good points there. My question for you. So we did our episode up on the schedule release. We didn't go through the Houston Texans schedule week by week. However, Nick and I kind of ranked who we thought are our division winners, our best teams in the AFC, our competitors, the teams that are going to be fighting for playoff spots. And we can't go through that group without mentioning Houston for sure. Nick and I both had the Texans winning the division, and I think did we have 11 wins or 12?
I believe we had 11 wins.
I think we had Texans at 11 and 6. That are 11 or 12 wins, but right around that mark, beating out the Jaguars, the Colts, and obviously the Titans, and you guys taking the division lead. Is that what you expect coming into this season after that Texans schedule release? Do you have any predictions on the Texans winning the division, what the record will be? What are your expectations for this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, same story for every team, right? It's bearing injuries. But that being said, I do expect them to win the division. Jaguars, obviously, in my opinion, is still tough. I know listening to y'all's last episode, y'all are a little bit down on the Jaguars. I mean, I get it, right? Like, they had some losses in the offseason, but I think that they're still going to be very formidable. I don't believe in the Colts. I think they had a miracle run there. Tennessee, they're still building whatever they're trying to build. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Cam Ward this year. But I do fully expect the Texans to win the division. I also heard that y'all had the Chargers beating Houston, which I find to be interesting considering the fact the last two times I believe we played.
The charm.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll see what
I think
happens.
the only reason why we did that is because it's in LA.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Defense travels, right? So
You're not wrong.
as far as a record goes, hopeful, right? I would say 12 wins, realistic.
Give me your ceiling and your floor.
Yeah, so ceiling probably be 12 wins, and I think the floor will be about 9, and God forbid something happens to my boy Will Anderson or Daniil Hunter or any of those guys, but I think the floor it would be like 9 wins. And I think what I find interesting is they already got like who's favored in like betting odds for the games. In week 1, we're projected to lose as of right now to Buffalo, and the game is in Houston. So I find that interesting because Josh Allen never plays well in Houston, so I guarantee that to be a win, and I'm just going to put that out there now.
Fair enough. All right, so I have one last question, and this is kind of for both of you, given that neither of you have ever tasted what real success is. So what brings you back every year as fans of teams that have never tasted a Super Bowl?
Do you want first on this one? You want me to take it? One is just the loyalty as a fan, right?
Sure.
I've been a Chargers fan since I was a kid, getting my first LT jersey in elementary school. So he's the reason I fell in love with the Chargers. I've been a Chargers fan since that point. It comes to I've devoted so much to them over the years that it's like you can't break my heart more than we already have. And it's just too much to walk away from, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's loyalty to a fan base. I have no connections to other teams. I know I'm from Denver. I know I live in Colorado. Yeah, the Broncos ain't it, man, and they never will be for us. So for me, one, it's just the loyalty aspect that's my team and I stick with them. But I think the Chargers have done a decent job at keeping the fans intrigued.
By your schedule release videos?
well, yes,
what?
that our social media team's sick. But part of that being is how many times have we sat here and said the Chargers win the offseason, the Chargers won the offseason, the Chargers on paper. And I get it. Like, that does not translate to results, but the fans always have reason to be optimistic about the Chargers. They have enough to keep you interested, right?
So at what point is that insanity?
Yeah, but that's your team, right? It is.
No, I'm poking fun here.
But it's the truth, right? Like, being a Chargers fan takes some level of commitment and insanity. Like, you deal with a lot. You deal with too much, honestly. But yeah, I mean, the Chargers keep it interesting. Even before we got Justin Herbert, before we got Jim Harbaugh, those things. We had the LT days, the Phillip River days. Keenan Allen's always been on the squad. Joey Bosa, Sean Merriman. Like, the Chargers have always had players to keep you interested, keep you a fan, exciting to watch. through all the heartbreak. And honestly, landing your franchise quarterback in Herbert, bringing in a big name like Jim Harbaugh, you're landing the coaching hires like Mike McDaniel. You have young stars, up-and-coming stars, Tui Pelotu, Lad McConkey, Oronde Gadsden, Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater. Like they're bringing in guys. They make it enticing to watch. We just won back-to-back 11-win seasons. Yeah, it fucking sucks. We don't win when it matters, but yeah, we keep it enticing, and honestly, there's room for optimism for us as a fan base.
And just with that being said, I would say that hope is often more exciting than reality.
You're right.
So
It's the roller coaster of sports, man.
Every year, every team in the offseason right now, it's, for example, it's been the Raiders Super Bowl the last 3 offseasons, right? Like they make all these great moves on paper, and then it pans out how it pans out. So with that, it's the same thing with Houston, right? Like we've never been to the Super Bowl. We've never even been to a AFC championship game. So we've gotten damn close.
Finally, someone that's worse than us. Hold on, because we've made that. So you guys at least have home fans, so that's cool. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to transition. I don't know if you guys follow Wild West Banter on TikTok, but if you do, you would have seen a few videos get released lately. We made a version of an all AFC West team, starting with an all AFC West first team offense. Today, Nick and I put together an all AFC West first team defense. The defense has not been released on TikTok, but it will be today at some point. And we want to go through that. We want to talk about what went through our decision-making on if we're fielding an offense just from the 4 teams in the West, who are we picking to slot in? And Tyler hasn't seen it yet. Well, he's looking at it over here for the first time. However, Tyler, I want you to jump in and give us your thoughts from an outside AFC West perspective on what you see, what you think, agreements, disagreements, and where we go from here. So we'll jump into that, and then hopefully we'll close it out. We did a ranking of the top 10 players in the AFC West. Yeah. All positions, just top 10 players, which for me was extremely difficult. But, yeah, do you want to lead us off on let's go offense first, all AFC West first-team offense?
Yeah, so with this, for some positions, we did the top 2 at every position, and then we also gave some honorable mentions. Yep. But, yeah, we started out at quarterback. Obviously, for the first team here, we have Patrick Mahomes. He is the man.
Disagree?
We'll get into some analysis here in a little bit, but yeah. So we have Patrick Mahomes for the first team at quarterback, and then we gave the honorable mention to Justin Herbert. If it was up to me, I would put Bo Nix in this conversation. But yeah, that's what we have. So Patrick Mahomes, and then an honorable mention to Justin Herbert. So.
Yeah. I don't think there's much to be said about there. That was probably the easiest one for us, slotting in your QB1. Let's jump into the running back room and let's talk about this, because you and I even had a little bit of a discussion about what we do with the running back rankings. Mm-hmm. We just did an RB1 and RB2. That's it. Not ranking running back rooms, just individual players. For RB1, we have Kenneth Walker, and for RB2, we have Ashton Genty. Tyler, what do you think about those 2 running backs? Agree, disagree? Anyone you would slot elsewhere? How do you think that projects for this year?
So I get why you did the rankings, right? Like Kenneth Walker, pretty great, consistent running back all the years he's been around. Was in the committee last year for most of the year until Sharps decided he wanted to tear his ACL. But, I mean, other than that, like, I didn't really see a lot from Kenneth Walker outside of the playoff run. Like, sure, was he amazing? Was he arguably one of the most important players on the offense during that playoff run? Yes.
Yep.
RB2, I think, is interesting because you have Genty here, and I'm curious to see why not Hampton. I understand that Hampton had the foot injury and he missed most of the year, but I would say I saw more glimpses out of Hampton than I did Genty last year. Now, granted, again, the offensive line for the Raiders is terrible, and we're projecting. I assume this is for projecting for next year, and the offensive line is greatly improved for the Raiders. I still would see Hampton probably having the better year than Genty this year. I do love Genty and his Michael Myers stance in the backfield, but I feel like Hampton would be the RB2 for me at this current time.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So when we went through doing these rankings, I guess you could call them, it wasn't necessarily projecting. It was based off of what we know. So that is why we have Kenneth Walker at the RB1 spot, because he's coming off of a insane postseason. I feel like the reason why we did put Genty at number 2 is, yes, I understand your argument with Omarion Hampton, but Genty played every single game last year. He played behind an offensive line and was still able to be a top 12 running back in the NFL. Now, if we do bring projections into this, I get a little bit more excited for Genty behind the offensive line additions that they did make, and especially having Kubiak running that offense now. Sure, I know Matthew's going to sit here and argue that they brought in Mike McDaniel and that their offensive line is healthier now and they added additions to that. But when we're talking about pure prospect, Genty is the clear favorite for prospects ahead of Omarion Hampton. So I guess I'm not going to give you too much pushback on that. But that is why I see Genty at number 2 here. The last point I do want to make here, and I'm not going to really push too hard on this because it's the biggest if of all ifs. If Dobbins is healthy, there is a scenario. I mean, through the first 10 games last year, he was a top 3 running back in the NFL. So am I going to put him at that number 1 spot? No. But Dobbins can, I think, be in this conversation as well. So,
sure. Yeah, there's a few things with that I want to get at. One with Kenneth Walker. He just came off a Super Bowl MVP performance. We can't take that for granted, and I don't think we are. But he also eclipsed 1,000 yards in the regular season too. And he's the only running back in the entire AFC West that has a 1,000-yard rushing season under his belt. Granted, Genty's been in the league 1 year. Dobbins is never healthy. Hampton's been in the league 1 year. So I get that, but K9 is the only one that's done it consistently. We always talk about just the recent future and the recency bias of his Super Bowl appearance, but we can't forget that even battling injuries, when Kenneth Walker's healthy, this is his second year he's eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing, and that's not an easy feat. That's kind of that gold standard of running back. When you start arguing the top running backs in the entire NFL and each division, you look at those with the 1,000-yard rushing seasons, their yards per carry efficiency. So K9 was a pretty easy one for me. I like what Tyler brought up with Hampton, and obviously that's my boy. I put Genty. I didn't put Hampton for what it's worth. However, I do think there is a reality where Hampton does outperform Genty, and that wouldn't necessarily shock me. I do think Genty's the better prospect. I do think Genty's the better overall running back, and that's why he was the top 5 draft pick. Hampton still drafted at 21 overall, so we're not talking about like a 3rd-round guy here. He's a 1st-round talent. Hampton missed like 6 games. It's hard with the sample size that we saw at Omarion Hampton. The thing that's frustrating is we're talking about Genty's performance with Kubiak coming in, and now they get Tyler Linderbaum, and they have Jackson Powers-Johnson at left guard, and they're rebuilding their offensive line, all these things. But Hampton ran behind one of the worst offensive lines you could argue in the last decade of football. I mean, we didn't have a single starting caliber guy on that line outside of Zion Johnson. So you're bringing in Rashawn Slater, you're bringing back Joe Alt, you have Tyler Biadasz at center, you just drafted Jake Slaughter at left guard. So I think it's going to be interesting to see Hampton behind a legitimate offensive line that is a talented, skilled, very good group, if they're healthy, for the 3 games that Hampton's going to get with it. And everything the Chargers did this offseason was to build their run game. You look at all the moves Mike McDaniel was doing is building the run game. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why they went and got Charlie Kolar. There's a reason why they went and got Alec Ingold. There's a reason why they drafted Jake Slaughter. There's a reason why they get David Njoku. Everything they're doing is, and then Keaton Mitchell. They want to build a run game, and I trust Mike McDaniel in this offense to make it legitimate. So I like it. I would still stick with K9 and Genty. I don't have any movement there, but I do like the argument of bringing Hampton into discussion. I just think it's a little too soon, in my opinion.
Question.
Yeah.
I don't mean to stray away from the topic too much on the board, but Nick, I'm curious to see what your opinion is on RJ Harvey and what that workload split looks like.
Yeah. So, I mean, With RJ Harvey, he's not the pure runner that you would like to have out of a running back, and we all hoped when we drafted him to kind of be, a first two down type of back guy. So with RJ Harvey himself, I really like his ability in the pass game. I think he's extremely dynamic there. But as far as like running between the tackles, that's not really his game. Maybe he develops into that. But I think when you're talking about the Denver Broncos run game, what excites me is the room as a whole. Because having J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and now Jonah Coleman, that the room itself is what makes me excited. Because obviously J.K. is going to be your lead guy, your main guy. R.J. is truly dynamic in the pass game. And then, I mean, we'll see what Jonah Coleman kind of blossoms into. But from the start, he's excellent when it comes to blocking for the pass game. So you can at least rely on him there. And I think that he'll be a good kind of safety net for the inevitable when J.K. Dobbins gets injured. So, yeah, I mean, I like the room as a whole. But again, if we're just simply picking out one guy from the room, it's a little scary. But, yeah.
Cool. I think that's good on running backs. If you guys are good, let's jump to receivers, and I think this will bring up a good amount of discussion. I know.
I don't know.
Tyler already looked at it once, and I know he's stewing over here with something to say. So I'm excited to hear the counter arguments and kind of where you would place these guys if this was your list, Tyler. And we're open to hearing those thoughts. But for the audience, we went with 3 wide receivers. Wide receiver 1, we went with Jalen Waddle. New big addition here in Denver. Wide receiver 2, we have Ladd McConkey. And then wide receiver 3, we do have Cortland Sutton. So the Raiders don't make the cut, and the Chiefs don't make a cut because Rashee Rice is probably still in prison by the time this goes anyway. So that's what we got for our 3 starting receivers. I know what Nick thinks, but I don't know what Tyler thinks. So Nick and I can talk about 2 and 3 a little bit and our discussions there on our selling points. But Tyler, tell me what your thoughts are. If you're a GM from the AFC West and you're picking 3 receivers, what are you going with?
Well, I mean, obviously, I do love Waddle. I think he's a very exciting player, super explosive, really fast. I think that the Broncos, y'all are going to have a lot of blue balls, though. I've never seen a player quite like Waddle where he gets touched and he's on the ground agonizing in pain quite as much as Waddle. Is there potential there? Yeah. It's the best quarterback situations Waddle had in his NFL career. So I get it, right? Like, y'all are excited about him. As far as wide receiver 1 currently in the AFC West, I don't know. I mean, I think that still belongs to Sutton. Sutton's pretty consistent. Been there for a while. He's got great rapport with Nix. And then I understand that Rashee Rice has got his off-field issues and whatnot, but I mean, when he plays, he's getting the targets. He's getting the yards. He's getting the touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I would say between Sutton and Rice, honestly, wide receiver 1, like we'll see if Rice faces suspension for all his shenanigans off field or not. Well, I don't know. But that's how I would have it. And then wide receiver 3, yeah, I mean, I could see Waddle there. Maybe even Ladd. But that's kind of where I'm ranking it. Like, a 1A, 1B for Rice and Sutton, and then having Waddle there, maybe Ladd.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, the whole Rashee Rice argument there is fair, I think. Just the thing with him is he's not ever available because he's always getting in trouble, and he can't stop smoking weed, and
he was hurt a little bit too, right?
And hurt,
and that's what's hard. So Rashee Rice has been like, yeah, and it's hard because we, part of this, are we going off of their resume and what they've already produced and their stats in the league? Or are we going off of their pure talent and capabilities, right? Because that's two separate things that we're projecting him as a player and what he could do versus what he has done.
Sure.
And if we're combining those two things,
I mean, still Waddle, in my opinion, is the best.
And Rashee Rice has never had a 1,000-yard season. He's been in the league 3 years. His first year, he did eclipse 900, and I do think he's a very, very good receiver, and I do think he has a high ceiling. But when we're combining, one, his availability, two, what he's already shown on the field, and then you got these off-the-field issues, you got a couple more things at play, I find it hard to place him there. Even guys over like Ladd McConkey, who's played in the league 2 years, I know that. And did he have a sophomore slump? Sure. Was part of that him? Yeah, like he did have some drops that were very uncharacteristic. And how much of that was a Greg Roman offense where nobody was feasting, right? Like that was a terrible passing offense to watch all year long. The routes were shit. The play calling was shit. The movement at the line was shit. The protection was shit. Like I think there was a lot that went wrong that faulted Ladd. And even with that, Ladd's first year in the league is better than anything Rashee Rice has ever done. It's actually better than any season Sutton has ever had in terms of statistically speaking. And it would be in line with Waddle's best season in 2022, I believe. So, yeah, it's hard because you're comparing what they've done and what they've done on the field versus what they could be, and then there's so many off-the-field issues and injury issues and offensive line issues and coordinator and all those things. So with that, I went with like a combination of skill, talent, resume, situation, a little bit of everything when I make this. And, yeah, I was fine with Jalen Waddle being one.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I was okay with Jalen Waddle being one. When you combine all those things together, yeah, I understand it. I get it. We'll see what he does in his first year in a Denver offense with Knicks. You know, who knows? But Ladd and Sutton, this is something you and I talked about over text when we were forming this list. And yeah, I like Sutton. I've given Sutton so much shit over the years. You know that, about not being a top 15 receiver, all these things. Sutton's consistent. Sutton's good. Sure, he has some drops here and there, and he's not your top, he's not a premier all-star receiver that you see in this league, but he's a consistent 1 and 2. He's solid. I just think the ceiling of Ladd McConkey and what he has to offer is better than Cortland Sutton. I think we saw that in his first year. I think it's hard, and we're a little bit down on him with recency bias seeing that sophomore season. But I think quickly after this year and seeing what Ladd does in this Mike McDaniel offense with a legitimate passing attack, an actual run game, a legitimate O-line, I think you guys would change your mind when you see what Ladd does this year.
Yeah, so I'm taking the very realistic view to this and not the what if.
Sure.
So when we're talking about, I guess, what they've already done in their careers, their availability, and I guess, we can throw some projecting in there. Waddle has been, when we're talking about all of these wide receivers, Waddle is by far the most talented out of all of them. You cannot argue that. He has put up statistics. He played in an offense where he was the number 2 wide receiver for most of his career. He played with a quarterback in Tua that, was good for 1 year and then was hurt for the rest of it. So he cycled through quarterbacks nonstop. So Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, there's no way that you can really argue that he is the number 1 wide receiver here. Now, when we talk about number 2 and number 3, I do have Cortland Sutton and Ladd McConkey. The reason why I believe that Sutton should be over Ladd, but I kind of allowed Matthew to put them at number 2, we're talking about consistency over a career. Cortland Sutton is consistently a 1,000-yard guy. Yeah, he's not the 1,200, 1,300, 1,500 guy, but he is consistently a 1,000-yard guy. He is a guy that Bo Nix relies on. He's ultra reliable. And with Ladd McConkey, sure, he had the one good season there in his rookie year, but last year was a little uninspiring. And it's simply like Cortland Sutton is just, I feel like you can just rely on him a little bit more. So
Yeah, and that's a good point, and I would give you that argument if that's what we're going. I would give you that, and that's where it becomes difficult to compare a 2-year receiver versus a vet, right?
Yeah.
It is difficult because we're talking about a 2-year sample size of Lad McConkey to justify this on. And it's hard. We have one incredible stellar season and one that was a little bit down, right? So that makes it difficult. So I can completely understand, and I don't think you're out of line in saying Sutton is too. I just think the ceiling. I think Ladd can break 1,300 yards this year, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. I can't say the same about Sutton though. I can't.
Well, yeah. With all this being said, I feel like out of these top 3 guys, and I guess you could throw Rashee Rice in there, but I mean, pretty weak division when it comes to wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we spent way too much time on wide receivers there. So, yeah, because we still have to get through the rest of offense and defense, and we were going to do a top 10 thing, but I think we'll be here for 3 hours if we do that. So, yeah, let's get into the tight end room next. So we ended up going with 2 tight ends. Matthew wanted to throw an honorable mention in there because it is what it is. But we have a new guy taking the throne here in the AFC West for the best tight end, and that is Brock Bowers. Yes, he had his injuries last year. His rookie year was unbelievable. But I think when it's all said and done and this guy's career is over, we could talk about Brock Bowers potentially being one of the top 3 best tight ends of all time. I mean, that's this guy's potential. So yeah, we have Brock Bowers at number 1. We do still have Travis Kelce at number 2. Yes, he is getting older, and you would think that his play has kind of slid a little bit. And I guess if we're talking statistically, it has just a tinge, but he's still putting up unbelievable numbers, even for his age. So we have Travis Kelce at number 2. And then Matthew wanted to throw Rondé Gadsden there as an honorable mention. I like Gadsden's upside. He showed some flashes last year. So I think naturally he will be taking that tight end 2 position once Kelce retires. But yeah, that's where we have this. So I guess we'll go to Tyler first. You haven't talked in a while. So what do you think of these rankings? Do you see it differently?
I mean, I pretty much see it the way it is. Bowers is undoubtedly the tight end 1 currently. Kelce, yeah, he's just another year older. I mean, we've seen the decline in his production the last couple of years, and he was contemplating retirement this past offseason, I believe. So as far as Gadsden being an honorable mention, I don't know. In my heart of hearts, I think Njoku probably see the field more than Gadsden, but, I mean, you're the Chargers insider, so we'll see what you say.
Yeah, I'm glad that we agree on the 1 and 2. We talked about this last week, I think, episode we talked about Travis Kelce. And yeah, the dude still put up 800 yards as a fucking aging tight end. That's incredible. If you're getting 800 yards from your starting tight end, no matter what age they are, you are happy. Sure, did we get used to the Kelce 1,100-yard seasons? Yeah, but we know his age, we know his decline, we know he's nearing his retirement, but we can't discount his production. And it's still very, very good. So I'm okay putting Kelce at 2. Bowers, I don't have anything to say about that. I think we all know Bowers is taking over the position in the division and probably league-wide. I mean, that guy's going to set the standard. I love Brock Bowers. As we talk about Gadsden, I absolutely loved what I saw out of Rondé Gadsden. I think he has a very, very, very bright future in this league. He's a former receiver turned tight end from Syracuse. And yeah, I think he's going to blow up. I think he's going to be better than Hunter Henry was when we drafted him. And I think he's going to be a starting tight end for us for a long time. I don't have a ton to say about Gadsden, given his short tenure and how much he played in his first year. I'm totally fine putting him as the honorable mention. I don't think he challenges Kelce. The point you brought up with Njoku, yeah, there's a lot of panic in the room. And I think a lot of the panic in the room is from fantasy football. Right, I think everyone's seeing Gadsden's value as tight end 1 in fantasy tanking because now Njoku's in the room. I don't buy it personally, and nor do I buy that this is going to stunt the growth of Gadsden. Njoku has been injury prone his last 2 years. He's aging. He's almost 30 years old. He only put up 200 yards last year. Sure, it's the Cleveland Browns offense and that debacle that they have going on. And yeah, does it bring in some competition and take some targets away from Gadsden's? Yeah, maybe. But do I think that's going to stunt him growing as a player or even fantasy target? I don't. I think Gadsden is clear the tight end one here. I think that's how they perceive it. I think it's just another body in the room to run that 12-man personnel and to run 3 tight end sets, which they've talked about wanting to do, and bring in a guy that's not just a pass-catching option. Njoku has a lot of run-blocking capabilities that Gadsden doesn't. So I think it just rounds out the room and makes them more complete rather than challenging for tight end 1. But, yeah, I like the tight end room as we have it.
Cool. Well, yeah, I don't really have much to add. What's that?
You want to hit a line now?
Yeah. So I do want to say
Yeah.
one thing before we move on here. So I've said it in the past. I believe I said it last episode. Matthew is notorious for calling out, saying that all these young Chargers are the next greatest thing ever. Nah. So I'm so shocked that you haven't even mumbled the words that Oronde Gadsden is the next Antonio Gates. Because I mean,
hey, he broke Antonio Gates' rookie record.
Are you feeling okay?
For what it's worth, he broke in. So. No, I respect AG's legend. So
all right, so yeah, let's get into some offensive line here. So we'll start at the left tackle position. We have Rashawn Slater at the left tackle with an honorable mention of Garrett Bowles. So I'll start this out here. If we're talking about availability, consistency, Garrett Bowles has been a top 3 left tackle in this league for half a decade. So I'm a little upset that we went with Rashawn Slater for the number 1 here. But when we're talking about when Rashawn Slater has been on the field and we're talking about maybe projecting his career out, Rashawn Slater is the clear number 1 here because he is, you could argue the best left tackle in the NFL. So that's why we kind of went with it this way. As a Broncos fan, of course, I'm going to pick Garrett Bowles here, but I would say that the rest of the league outside of Broncos fans probably would go with Rashawn Slater. So that's kind of where we went here.
So, Nick, I'll tell you, as a AFC West outsider, I'm actually picking Bowles over Slater.
All right, Tyler, I knew we had you here for a reason, man.
Yeah, no, I think I think Bowles, coming off the season he had last year was incredible. So, with Slater's injury and whatnot, I'm picking Bowles right now at this current moment. Sure, Slater maybe has higher upside and potential, but I mean, you gotta actually hit that potential to, get it. So I'm picking Bowles.
All right, so we're gonna erase this dry board or the dry erase board a little bit. And
here's what I'll say, Nick. You tipped your cap to me to throw Ladd at wide receiver 2. I would be willing to tip my cap to give you Bowles at left.
Let's go.
And I think that's only fair. With that being said, I do agree with you. Your analysis, I think, is pretty spot on. Garrett Bowles has done it, man. Like, he first team All-Pro this year. He's a fantastic left tackle, which is hilarious because when he was drafted, I've never seen Nick more mad in my life than when they drafted Garrett
his
Bowles.
First season, or maybe even first 2 seasons, his nickname was Garrett Holds. Like, he had so many holding penalties. He was awful. We were ready to run him out of town.
What a turnaround in his career, man. He is an incredible left tackle. Any team in the league would be lucky to have a fucking standout dude like Garrett Bowles. So, yeah, all the credit to you. You do have one. The one thing I'll say about Slater is rewind to Slater being healthy and watch the tape. Like, that is the argument, and I know that's the caveat of when he's healthy. But we're not making these lists based off of health, right? Like, there is a little bit of both at play here, and that's why
is J.K. Dobbins not number 1 at the running back position?
I would say all running backs play 16 games, 17 games. J.K. Dobbins is not even in the top 3. Truly.
Okay. Yikes. That's a really hot take.
I do believe that. I think Hampton will blow him out of the water this year.
All right. I'll bet you on that.
That's okay. So that's a next episode conversation. Yeah, but Rashawn Slater, he was second team All-Pro coming out of college, and the only reason he was is because fucking Trent Williams was in the prime of his career, and he's been the best left tackle in football for like 15 years. Like, you can't argue Trent Williams. But yeah, Rashawn Slater, if you get him healthy on the field, you are quickly going to see that he is, at bare minimum, a top 3 left tackle, if not top 1 or 2. So I like the outlook of Slater being healthy over Bowles. However, I would tip my cap and I would give you Garrett Bowles at this position,
All right.
especially because we'll see what Slater, how he returns to form after that patellar tendon. That is a nasty injury. That is a brutal injury. So we'll see how he returns. But yeah,
well, my entire week was just made, so
I'm fine giving you that one. So moving on, if we're moving along down the line with left guard, slotted in Jackson Powers Johnson, center/guard. He was drafted out of Oregon by the Raiders. Originally drafted as a center, he did transition to left guard. He's been awesome. He's probably the anchor. Well, before they get Linderbaum, he was really the anchor of that offensive line. I loved Jackson Powers Johnson in college. I wanted the Chargers to get him out of Oregon when that draft happened. I was pissed he went to a division rival. But yeah, Jackson Powers Johnson's great. I will give that honorable mention to Ben Powers, left guard from Denver. He is a solid guard. He is a good starter in this league. However, I got to go with the young buck and JPJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty clear number 1 here in Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, with we did give the honorable mention there to Ben Powers. I honestly think we can kind of get rid of that. Honestly, yeah, I mean, Ben Powers, like, he's good, but I mean, JPJ is significantly better than him in my opinion, and that kind of just goes to show how bad the left guard position is in the division. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, let's say the Denver Broncos cut Ben Powers today. You know, it would be really quick for him to find a job. But I mean, the thing is he's not going to be a Denver Bronco next year. And yeah, I mean, he's serviceable. He is what he is. So.
You got anything on left guard?
I got zero qualms with that. We'll just keep moving on.
All right, beautiful. So the center position here, this is an interesting one because you could go either way. There are probably the best 2 centers in the NFL in this division. So we gave the Kansas City Chiefs, Creed Humphrey, the nod here for the best center in the AFC West. But you also have to talk about Tyler Linderbaum there in Las Vegas. Again, those are the 2 best centers in the NFL. But yeah, we gave a slight nod to Creed Humphrey. The guy's unbelievable. But yeah, you could really argue that either way. I don't really have much analysis here other than they're both amazing. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything to add on to that?
No, I mean, I don't think there's too much of a comparison as far as which one's better. I mean, I think Creed is by far the best one. Mm-hmm. I think Tyler Linderbaum is excellent by all means, and I don't think it can be understated the impact that he's going to have on the Las Vegas Raiders offense with the protection of Kirk Cousins / Mendoza, and then just the run game for Genty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got nothing to say about this. Creed is the one here, as much as I hate to say it. Just a fucking anchor of the line, man. He is an absolute incredible player. Sucks he's on the Chiefs. You know, we got to deal with it forever, but we've all had good centers in our days. I don't know if you guys have had.
Long time. 2008 probably.
Okay, so since 2008, you know, our last one was Corey Linsley before he retired. But yeah, we all know the impact that a center makes in this league. So yeah, Creed Humphrey at number 1. Linderbaum sets the record deal. He's getting paid like $26 million as a center, which is disgusting. Incredible. The only reason I have him as the honorable mention is he had a slight regression in his pass blocking reps this last year. He dipped a little bit, his numbers did, compared to his last 3 seasons in Baltimore. And with that saying, like, he's still a top 3 center in the league. Guy's incredible, but I would give the nod to Creed as well.
Sweet. All right. Well, we'll go
This
on
is
to
the most
right
this
guard here.
we have nothing to say.
Yeah, right guard
Yeah,
and
this
even
is-
really right tackle.
These
so
next
we'll,
two,
yeah,
easy
we'll,
money.
we'll just get through this real quickly, and then we can move on to defense. So right guard, Quinn Miners, the best right guard in the NFL. That's without a question. The guy is a beast. We call him the Belly here in Denver. Yeah, it's hot, I think. Quinn Miners is awesome. The guy has an amazing story coming out of Wisconsin Whitewater. But yeah, he's amazing. And then at right tackle, we do have Joe Alt. Again, I guess the only thing that we can touch on here is that he was hurt last year. But when the guy plays, he is unbelievable. There's the Belly. Check it out. Yeah, but Quinn Miners, Joe Alt there for right guard, right tackle. They're both very great in their own respect. So, with that being said, we're going to move on from offense here, and we're going to go into our first team
You're not going to let me
defense.
glaze over Joe Alt for a minute?
No, we're not. You don't need to. The guy's injured, and when he plays, if he plays, he's awesome. So that's all we need to say. Getting into first team defense here. We started off with the defensive line. So kind of how we view defensive line, because I feel like everyone kind of views it in their own way and a little bit differently. So we have like D tackles and defensive ends kind of all in the same here. But our top three guys here happen to be defensive ends because we don't necessarily have any like ultra stud defensive tackles. I mean, I guess you could look at Chris Jones as a D tackle, but who knows? So with that being said, our three guys here, we have Chris Jones, Zach Allen, and Tyre Tart. I feel like we threw Tart in there just because Matthew's a Chargers fan, but Zach Allen, I believe, is the clear number one here. Chris Jones was the clear number one for a very long time. We have seen regression out of him. And then small gap, then Tyre Tart. But yeah, those are the top three guys. So, Matthew, I kind of threw some shade at you, so let's start with you here first.
All right. Yeah. So when we made this, I agree. It's a little unorthodox in how people go like nose tackle, D edge, whatever. We basically tried to just keep it interior edge rushers, and then we'll transition to linebackers. So when we're looking at your D line minus your pure pass rush edge rushers, Zach Allen is a no-brainer to me. I've talked about this in the past episodes. Unfortunately, I watch a lot of Broncos games, and
Unfortunately,
I do watch a lot of Broncos games, and majority is like just finding shit to shit on them for. Like, I try to talk shit on them. I can't watch a Broncos game without watching Zach Allen. The guy's a fucking monster. He's incredible. He's great on the D line. He came out of nowhere. I underestimated him immensely. He's fantastic. I think he is turning that corner where Chris Jones may not be the best interior D-line in this division anymore, which is a sad time to come from, given like Chris Jones has ran this division, and he's ran the NFL at the position for probably the last decade, right? The guy's a Hall of Famer, no disrespect to Chris Jones. He's insane. So I still think despite, does he have a little bit of drop off, a little bit of aging to him? Yes, he does. Does he still make this list? Absolutely he does. Chris Jones still has an impact. I think him and Zach Allen are the no-brainers. We threw a third in there. And honestly, he talks about being a Chargers fan, throwing Tart. I didn't even do it for Tyre Tart. I did it just to see what else was out there besides Zach Allen and Chris Jones. And honestly, there wasn't a ton of names. There just wasn't. The Raiders' interior D-line's uninspiring. I think the Chiefs just drafted, Peter Woods, I think you give him some time. Did we see him up here? Yeah, maybe. I think his ceiling's really high. John Franklin Myers is out of the division now, so that makes it a little bit easier. But with that being said, being a Chargers fan, Tyre Tart deserves some recognition. He's an awesome player. You watch a lot of Chargers games, you're going to find yourself watching some form of a Tyre Tart highlight. Him being, I wouldn't say dirty, but is he a chippy dude? He's just a ball full of energy. He's fucking nuts out there. He plays with his haircut off. He signed a vet minimum contract that turned into a damn near $60 million deal. He's great. Yeah. So I think if we're throwing a third in there, T.R. Tart deserves that nod. But yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. Tart is not in the tier that you get Zach Allen and Chris Jones. I think that those players are fantastic. Tyler, from the outside looking in, what do you think about interior D linemen? We're not talking edge rushers here. Any disagreements? What do you think?
No, I think y'all's rankings is pretty spot on here as well. I think Chris Jones, the question about his production going down, I question how much of that is his motivation after last year with them kind of being out of contention and Mahomes going down. I still think he's probably the biggest X factor at the defensive tackle position since Aaron Donald. So I think he's a great run stuffer. And it's going to be hard to run on the Chiefs because of Chris Jones. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year.
Yeah, that was a good point with motivation and effort because there were like some viral clips of Chris Jones and obviously we're on the outside looking in, but it looked like he just flat out gave up on the play. Like the guy was uninspiring. Like he just almost didn't give a shit. And that's just sitting on a couch drinking beer watching TV, so we don't know the half of it. But that's what it looked like passing the eye test. So yeah, I think that definitely has something to be said.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zach Allen is number one. I think we all agree. So.
I'm about to piss you off at edge rusher in a minute. Just saying that. I'm gonna piss you off at edge rusher in a minute.
Oh boy. All right.
But I'll let you guys start it.
All right. So we're gonna get into the edge rushers here. So we have Max Crosby at number one. I think that's a no-brainer. He is still in the division, unfortunately. He is not a Baltimore Raven. But yeah, Max Crosby at number one. He kills the Broncos every single time we play them. And then we have Nick Bonito at number two. And what I will say about Nick Bonito is that we got him as a steal. The guy's making $26 million a year. And he's been in top 5 for sacks the last 2 seasons. So, yes, is his run game a little not great? Yes. So if we're talking like well-rounded, maybe Nick Bonito's not that guy. But when we're talking about pure pass rush, Nick Bonito's top 5 pass rush in the NFL. And then Matthew tossed in an honorable mention of Tuli Tuipulotu. The guy is really, really good. The guy broke out last year. He's a machine. With him and Khalil Mack, I think that's an awesome duo. You have Mansour Elaine there now. I think that you guys there in LA have, who did I say? Mansour. Yeah, why did I say a fucking corner? Akeem Messidor, sorry. You guys have a really good pass rush. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's a clear top 2 for Max Crosby and Nick Bonito.
Yeah, no, edge rusher, probably my favorite position in all of football. Max Crosby, just a dog. I think I have zero concerns about his supposed knee injury. I'm excited to see him continue to stay on the Raiders. I think he's going to have a new sense of motivation. So I expect big things from Max Crosby this year. Bonito's great. You said he's a top 5 edge rusher in the league. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see about that.
Let's look at statistics.
All right. And then you got Tulip over there. I don't know who Tiny Tim is over there, but
disrespect Tulip.
I've never heard of her, but we'll let you talk about it.
All right. Here's what I got on edge rushers. I'll give the nod to Max. And for anyone that looks at our TikTok, just please read what the fuck we're posting, because we got so much shit posting like edge rushers and D-line. We combined them, and everyone's like, oh, you said Max is the worst in the division. No, I said the Raiders' defensive line and pass rush is the worst in the division. Max is the best edge rusher in this division. Let me make that clear. I firmly believe that. I agree. I'm not overly concerned with the medicals on Max. I wish he was going to Baltimore just to get him the hell out of the AFC West, even though we still have to deal with him in the AFC. But yeah, Max is what he is. Nick Bonito, you hit the nail on the head with his contract. It's insane value for the production you're getting. If that production is sustainable, that's insane value.
What do you mean sustainable?
And it has been.
He's done it 2 years.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like over the course of his contract, if that stays, because that's what you guys banked on. You guys signed him to that deal before the 14 sack seasons.
Incorrect.
Did
we signed him
Well, he had
last
a 1 year.
offseason.
Okay, so you guys signed him after a 1 year breakout,
Correct.
which actually is going to be very in line with what we have to do with Thule
Yeah.
in a 1 year breakout. And there is risk to that, right? Because you are banking that season was not a one off and that was sustainable.
Okay, but he's already
And
proven
Benito
that's not
did
a
that,
one-off.
right? So is that a 5-year deal?
It was a 4-year deal.
Yeah, given the production you're getting out of Benito, that is great value. We just saw Jalen Phillips from the Eagles sign in Carolina for almost $30 million, and he is nowhere near these three guys, in my opinion. And dude gets like 8 sacks a year. He's good, but that's insane value. So, yeah, that's a great contract for you guys. Benito's a fantastic pass rusher. He's a game wrecker. The guy rises to the moment. He doesn't shy away. I love Nick Benito. Yeah, you talked about a little bit lack in the run game. I wouldn't say it's like a liability lack. Like, is it his strength? No. Is he great at it? Absolutely not. But if you're getting that kind of pass rush out of him, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No, yeah,
truly.
and I don't really either.
Because that's not what he signed for.
Yeah.
I have to talk about Tuli Pelotu here because he's not a household name, and those that don't know him, you need to start knowing him because this dude's a fucking monster. And Tuli Pelotu, what I'll say is he had 1 sack less than Nick Benito last year. He was a Pro Bowler. He had 13 sacks. He was top 5 in the league in sacks last year. This was his breakout season. Tuli Pelotu's been in the league for 3 years. He was drafted at 21 years old. This guy was the youngest pass rusher in the league starting at his age. And he's 3 years younger than Benito, putting up a 13 sack season. And this was the first chance Tuli Pelotu had to do this. He was in a room behind Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack where he was getting limited snaps. He was basically a third down pass rusher in the obvious pass situations. You finally put him in that full-time role, and we just saw what he can do. The guy's insane. And he's going to get a big contract, and he will surpass Benito's contract, in my opinion. I think, given what Jalen Phillips just got and where the market's going, I don't think we can get Thule for less than $30 million at this rate. But I'm comfortable banking on that. With his age and production, I think he's in for another Pro Bowl type season. I think he is our premier pass rusher over Khalil Mack at his age. This dude's great, and he offers a lot in the run game where I do think he is better than Benito in that aspect. I don't think he's a better pass rusher, but I do think he can defend the run better, and Tuli Pelotu is an incredible player. That's all I got to say about him.
Yeah, so I guess just my question for Matty here is why Khalil Mack not in here? Is it just because of the age?
Age/injury. I think a little bit of both. We did see him get injured. I was actually at your house when he got hurt. It was when he hyperextended. It looked like the elbow there. We've seen a dip in Khalil Mack's numbers, and I mean that in pass rush sense, not run defending. I think Khalil Mack is the best run defending edge in this entire division, even over Max Crosby at his age. He is insane at defending the run. He's a great tackler. He's a very aggressive player. But I do think Khalil Mack has lost a step in the pass rush sense that Tuli Pelotu can offer a better pass rush repertoire than he can. I think Benito can. I think Max can. We haven't seen Khalil hit double-digit sacks in years. So that would be my reason for Khalil. We just re-signed him to that 1-year deal. This is what he's going to do the rest of his career. 1-year deal, contemplate retirement, 1-year deal, contemplate retirement. It's coming. It is coming. He still has enough to offer. He's still a very valuable player. He's still very good. But, yeah, the reason I don't have him as an honorable mention is what Thule offers in the pass rush sense that Khalil has not shown in probably at least 2 to 3 years now.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's enough about the edge rusher position. You said you were going to piss me off, but you didn't. So.
What I was going to say is –
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to piss you off.
Go ahead.
Don't sleep on Thule's ability to jump Benito.
Okay. That's what I'll say. All right. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Yeah, so that did piss me off. So let's move on to the linebackers. Just a deranged Chargers fan over here, everyone. But yeah, so for inside linebackers, I would say that this is probably the weakest position as a whole for the entire AFC West. There's some good guys in here, but I wouldn't say that there's necessarily any like top tier guys at the inside linebacker position. So We have Nick Bolton and Quay Walker as the top two inside linebackers for the AFC West. We did give honorable mentions to Nakobe Dean and Dayon Henley. So I really like Nick Bolton. The guy is a thumper. He is very good at what he does. When he was a free agent, not this past free agency, but the year before, I really wanted the Denver Broncos to sign him, but he ended up going back to the Kansas City Chiefs right before free agency opened. So I really like Nick Bolton. And then Quay Walker, he was a free agent this year. He was another one of those guys where I really wanted the Denver Broncos to sign him because it is a need here. And then he ended up going to the Las Vegas Raiders. What I will say here is that with Dayon Henley, I'm going to give the Chargers their flowers here. I could quickly see Dayon Henley, like if we do this exercise next offseason, I can see Dayon Henley being the best inside linebacker in this division. I think we just need to see what he did last year one more time around, and especially with a new defensive coordinator. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, in a pretty average room, if we're talking about a room for the entire AFC West for the inside linebacker position.
Yeah, I think as far as your top two guys, it is what it is, right? I think, though, with Nakobe Dean, that was probably one of my favorite off-season signings. I think that's going to pay huge dividends for the Raiders. And what you said about Henley potentially being the top guy come next offseason in this division, I could see that for Nakobe Dean.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about the Raiders acing their linebacker room in free agency, which was much needed, and we ranked that when we did our positional group rankings and on TikTok. The Raiders have a fantastic duo. Nick Bolton was a no-brainer for me as the first option here. And seeing what Nick Bolton and his versatility can do, that guy dropping back into coverage, it seems so natural for him. He is so good when it gets beneath the line of scrimmage, and he can drop into coverage, and he can cover the tight ends, and he can recover the running backs out of the backfield and some of those slant routes. Seeing what he can do in that sense, and then watching him in the run downs and his run defensive grade, and he doesn't offer maybe as much as a pass rusher as like that's what they use Drew Tranquil for. But Nick Bolton's versatility and his consistency, I have nothing but great things to say about him, and I think he deserves that. Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean was tough. Nick and I actually talked about this. If I would put Nakobe or Quay higher, I think Quay Walker offers more versatility than Nakobe Dean, in my opinion. And then Nakobe is obviously, we talk about his health, and I think he has more burst. I think he has more juice. I think he has a little bit more to offer in terms of like you can put him as a QB spy, or you can have him as a free rusher off the edge. And mask him dropping into coverage and then just send him at the QB. And I think Dean is better in that route. But I think Quay just is a little bit more sound in the passing downs. And that was close. Yeah, being a Chargers fan, Dayon Henley is our star linebacker. I love the dude. We got very, very lucky that he broke out the way he did. I actually was a little disappointed in how he performed last year, and that's why I don't have him as a top two. If you would have asked me before last year, I think I was projecting Dayon Henley to be like a second-team All-Pro and a borderline Pro Bowler, and it didn't happen. But the ceiling's very high for a guy like him, and he's very, very well-rounded. Like Nick said, I wouldn't be surprised if we do this in a year and we talk about Dayon Henley being the best linebacker in the division. I think he's great. He's really all we have in that room. But yeah, I think if we're talking Bolton and Quay, yeah, I'm good with that.
Perfect. All right. Well, yeah, let's.
This corner one might get we rarely put rookies where they are, so let's jump into that because that's a topic for discussion. And Tyler, I'm really curious what you see in the cornerback room in the AFC West, and we'll talk about kind of why we did what we did because this is rare. This is very rare, but I think a guy like the one we're going to talk about is fair.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
jump us into how we did it. We did our outside corners, and we did throw a nickel in there. So we can cover both at once. They're all corners, but we did do one specifically for the nickel corner versus the outside. So
Yeah, so we have Pat Surtain, of course. And then, as Matthew somewhat alluded to, we have Mansour Delane as the second best corner in the division. And then for our the nickel corner, we threw Jaquan McMillan in there. But before I toss this over to you, Tyler, kind of my 2 cents on this entire thing is outside of Surtain and then obviously projecting for Delane, rather weak for the corner position here in the AFC West. So if you don't mind touching on that as well as putting the rookie Mansour Delane here in the top 2, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got Surtain, who's the best corner in the league, and that's coming from that's coming from a Texas fan who's got Stingley.
Yeah, we're not putting Stingley there.
I would, Stingley obviously younger, right? So I would probably pick him as far as like a long-term career. But in this current moment, if I'm on the clock, I'm probably picking Surtain. I think Surtain is probably the best corner in the league. As far as Delane goes, he's the new hotness, right? Same thing with the Broncos last year. Y'all took a corner.
Jade Barron, yeah.
I mean, I would. Yeah, the same thing. But with the Broncos pick last year, you want to see more out of them. But the Chiefs, they had a higher draft pick than usual this year, so we'll see what this corner at LSU does.
Yeah, so Surtain, for me, easy one. I agree with Nick. I contemplating putting Delane in here, and that's just because it's uncharacteristic for us to put a rookie that's never played in the NFL immediately on a first-team level. And the counter-argument I agree with. If people are like, hey, that's not fair, we need to put someone proven, I don't disagree with you. I can understand that. And yeah, if we have to trade him out, we can talk about our other options. But like Nick said, when we look at starting corners across the entire division, I don't find anybody that offers what Delane does. There's a reason he was a top 10 pick in the draft. There's a reason they traded from pick 9 to 6, 6 to get Mansour Delane. This guy is next level. He is an immediate starter. I think in my opinion, he should be bust-proof. I don't have concerns about Delane being a bust. I think this guy's a very, very safe prospect. I think his ceiling is actually higher than Trent McDuffie, who I loved on the Chiefs, as much as I hate to say that. That dude's insane. I think Delane is even better than McDuffie. Could be, right? We're going off projections on a guy that hasn't played in the league. But given how highly we think of Mansour Delane and being the 6th overall pick, I think it was natural for us to just sit here and say we're comfortable taking the odds that he is going to be as advertised. And if that is the case, even if he's 80% as advertised, I still think he's probably the second best corner in this division. So I didn't have many challengers to him, and I think that was probably the difficult part of finding like, okay, I understand the rookie aspect, but tell me who else, right?
Yeah.
Stokes is a good corner. I actually slept on Stokes the last 2 years. He's good. Like I like Eric Stokes for the Raiders. You could argue Dante Jackson and how he performed for us last year, but am I comfortable putting a Dante Jackson or Eric Stokes above Mansour Delane? Just no. I don't even have to see Delane on the field to make this selection. So, yeah, I get it. It's a rookie. It's a gamble, sure, but this is a guy I'm comfortable doing that for. He's the only rookie we put on this list for offense or defense. So if there was going to be one, it's Mansour Delane. And then when we talk about nickel, yeah, McMillan is fantastic in the nickel. I talked about this with Nick before. I was actually putting Derwin James in the nickel just because that's where Jesse Minter was running him last year. And if we're putting Derwin James as a nickel, yeah, he is the best in this division. We moved, obviously a sneak peek, but we moved Derwin James to the safety spot. And he's a tough player to put on one like this because he's lined up as edge. He'll line up as linebacker. He'll line up as an outside corner. He'll line up as the nickel. He's everything. Mm-hmm. He's the jack of all trades. So if we're going to strictly put Derwin James and cap him at safety, then yeah, McMillan's your nickel. And with that, we're already on safety, so take us home.
So his last two positions here, we'll kind of time together. I feel like this was rather easy to do. So at the strong safety position, we have Talanoa Hufanga. The guy's badass. I love him. And then at the free safety position, he ain't dirty. No, he's not. And then at the free safety position, we did put Derwin James. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's not much to argue there. There isn't much to talk about. Both are great at their respective roles. Obviously, Derwin James is one of the very elite players in the NFL, taking positions out of it. The guy is a badass. And then, yeah, I mean, Talanoa Hufanga, he spent his first year in Denver with the Broncos last year and was absolutely everything that he was advertised to be. He immediately stepped in and was the heartbeat of this defense. And, I'm just so glad that Hufanga is a Denver Bronco. So,
this safety position is kind of criminally underrated. Having a great safety out there just kind of brings the defense as a whole all together. You got a strong safety that can come down to the box and thump on the run and then drop back into coverage and prevent the deep ball. And, that's why I love seeing Derwin James, probably my favorite safety in the league right now.
Yeah, that's why I brought Tyler on, just to back me on some Derwin James glow. Not that he needs it. There's nobody, I don't care if you hate the Chargers or not, that can't speak highly of Derwin James and what he has to offer. He has mastered the position. He's just an animal. And there's nothing but good things to say about Hufanga. I liked the signing coming out of San Francisco and joining Denver because I liked him as a Niners defender as well. He's a high energy. He seems like he is your heartbeat of the defense. Like, that dude's energy is infectious. You know what I mean? Like, that guy is just nuts on the field. It's hard to play with a guy like that and just not be amped all the time. He's everywhere on the field. He's a good tackler. He makes great plays on the ball. He's a hard hitter. He's dangerous in forcing fumbles. He can play off way deep, and then he'll jump up. Next thing you know, he's in the box, getting the run stop. He's great, man. Hufanga's a really, really, really good safety. Sucks you guys have him because you guys already had a talented defense, and adding a guy like that's a difference maker. So nothing but good things to say about Hufanga. But yeah, if we're throwing Derwin, if we're keeping him as a safety, he sets the standard. I think maybe Kyle Hamilton is the only guy you can say in this league is in comparison and in the same conversation as a guy like Derwin James.
Yeah, until Caleb Downs.
We'll see what Caleb Downs brings in Dallas. Derwin James is just different, man. It's hard to do a defense without talking about him because he'll do everything. And he rushes the passer like he's a fucking edge. And that's just rare. Rare, but yeah, that kind of rounds out our defense.
Yeah,
I think let's tease the top 10 for next week.
Yeah, so we've already been kind of going for a while here. It's Memorial Day. We're planning on getting up, making some burgers,
pound some beers.
Yeah, pound some beers, grill some wieners and whatnot. Throw those back. I heard Tyler's pretty good at throwing those down. So
one bite.
One bite. Tyler's what his nickname.
Don't even need to chew. Just swallow.
But yeah, we do have a top 10 players list for the entire AFC West. Matthew and I did have some struggles with this because we didn't know necessarily how to throw in positional value or kind of how to rank things, given that this division is fairly stacked when it comes to talent. So we're excited about that and to talk about that, but given that we want to get to the Memorial Day festivities, we're going to save that one. And given that it is Memorial Day, I just want to give a shout out to all of our veterans. We love each and every one of you. Thank you for everything that you have done for us. But yeah, I feel like that's a good place to end this one. But before we get out here, I guess I'll give both of you the chance to maybe give a final word.
Yeah, no, I'll echo all that. Good sentiment there, and thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, tune in. We're releasing a lot of these rankings and stuff via TikTok, so if you have it, follow us, just Wild West Banter on TikTok. Same thing, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the stuff. Feedback's greatly supported. Anything you guys want to see, you think differently, discussions for us before the next show, please give it to us. And then just a shout out for Tyler. Thank you for coming on. Always good to get some outside division perspective. We've talked about this for a long time. for real, one of the real ones that I know that talks football, knows football. He pays attention. He watches it. He has great insight, great perspective. So appreciate you coming on. Hopefully this isn't the last one. And on the next one, hopefully we have some more Texans stuff to talk about. We can jump into the AFC South division. You can give us some insight there that maybe we're not as well-rounded on. So, yeah, thanks for coming out, and hopefully you join us on the next one.
No, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited for this upcoming season and seeing the Texans finish higher in the AFC playoff race than y'all after y'all beat the shit out of each other.
Oh, boy. All right.
All right.
Well, we're going to end this one here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and go Broncos.
Every time.